As many of you probably know, CGC has recently been rocked by a scandal where a scam was uncovered that revealed that someone had taken hundreds of books out of a CGC case and then replaced them with lower value books and then sold them as the high value books. And this has sent shockwaves through the comic collecting community. And today, I want to talk about 5 predictions that I have of how this is going to affect this hobby that we all love going forward. First of all, I think this is going to extend the current bear market, which is a term for a period of time that experiences prolonged declines. Now, something that is very different about the collectibles market compared to other investments like the stock market is that the investments that have value do not produce any actual wealth, but instead their value is totally tied up in how much someone else desires them. So in other words, something like Amazon on the stock market produces actual wealth. The company is actually making money. And so that leads people to desire owning that stock because they know if they own it, then they are going to make some money from it. But when it comes to collectibles, the comics that we love aren't generating any more wealth. They only, again, have value as long as collectors want them. And of course, we're not too far removed from the comic boom where prices for comics skyrocketed, not only because of COVID and the extra relief money that people had, along with nothing really to spend that money on but collectibles, but also from 2 developments over the past 2 decades, which is the rise of the MCU, which generated tons of interest in the Marvel characters and subsequently in the comic books associated with those characters, along with the rise of third-party grading, which generated a lot of excitement about being able to determine what the actual condition of a comic book is, along with a lot of excitement about being able to submit a book, and then it's like a lottery ticket, wondering, oh, when am I going to get back? It's kind of like scratching it off when you pull the tape off the grade. Well, unfortunately, not only has obviously all the COVID relief money dried up, but also people have lost trust in both of those other things that generated excitement. When it comes to the MCU, people have lost trust because Disney has put out some pretty mediocre movies over the last couple of years, along with putting some messaging in those movies that have turned at least certain collectors off. And maybe that's a video for a whole nother day. But now people have lost trust in CGC. Of course, the G in CGC stands for guarantee, and there's no longer a guarantee when it comes to people's books that they are the grade that this case says that they are in. And these developments have led to a ton of negativity when it comes to the hobby, and people have lost a lot of interest in it, and certainly a lot of interest in investing in high value comic books. And again, with this loss of trust in CGC, this bear market that we are experiencing, I think, is going to be pushed further and further down the line. And so what do we do with that when it comes to collecting and investing in comic books? Well, first of all, I think the good news is that comics are probably going to be on sale for a while. And whenever there's a bear market in the stock market and stocks are low, really that's a great time to look to buy stocks because eventually they are going to rebound. Now, collectibles aren't as safe as stocks, once again, because they don't actually generate wealth. But I do think the characters like Spider-Man and Wolverine, they're just too iconic, at least for the next few decades, not to experience a boom period at some point again. I think a good parallel to the comic market is professional wrestling because it also goes through boom periods and then times of decline because, like comics, it doesn't actually generate any wealth for the consumer, but it relies on generating interest in its product from storylines. And if you watch wrestling, over the past year or so, it has experienced a boom period because people are interested in certain storylines like the Bloodline. Well, I think this is going to be true of comics as well. Again, the characters like Spider-Man and Wolverine are just too iconic, at least for the next few decades, to not have someone eventually come up with a great storyline that captivates an audience again. But that could be years from now, maybe even a decade from now, who knows? And until we have that must-see MCU movie again, or it might even be called something else by the time people get excited about it, then I think it's going to be hard for the comic book market to really rebound. I mean, again, these are predictions. Who knows? I could be totally wrong. And next year, we experience another comic boom. But this is just what I am predicting and think it's what's going to happen. And so this means, again, that the books are on sale, so to speak. And now is a good time to consider buying, but I don't think you have to rush out and buy something because, again, I think books are going to stay at their current levels for a while, or they could continue to experience some decline. And so when it comes to grails and major keys, there are some that I really want to add to my collection, but I am pretty much not buying anything at fair market value right now. That, again, is like a major key. You know, if you find just a book that you like for $1, $10, I mean, yeah, that's not big money and you can do what you want. But when you're looking at really putting real money into comics, I think now is the time just to wait and eventually hop on a good deal when you find it. All right, my second prediction is that this scandal is going to lead to the development of higher quality slabs. Once again, CGC has lost trust with the consumer. It is supposed to guarantee these collectibles, and all of a sudden it can't because of the condition of their cases. Well, they're going to have to up their game. And first of all, they're obviously going to find ways to make their cases more tamper-proof. There are a few suggestions that I've seen people make, and probably one or a combination of those things might happen, such as a piece of tape on the book to show if it's been broken, or somehow etching a number on the inner well so that you can tell what book belongs to what case. You know, there are different things that you can do. But regardless, I think CGC is certainly going to develop a better slab. And while they're at it, because they've lost so much trust from this, I think they're going to do more than just make them more tamper-proof, but they are going to examine other things because they're going to say, hey guys, we got to do something to get our business back. And so we have to really create, some more exciting labels, or I don't know what it's going to be, stronger plastic. Who knows what it's going to be? Somehow it's better presented. But I think in the long term, this is going to be a win for us, the consumers, because it's going to lead to better cases. Now, before I get to my next prediction, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, of course, I'd appreciate it if you consider doing so now. Now, my third prediction is that collectors, at least in the short term, are going to overreact to this scandal. Now, although I do believe there are probably more than the few hundred books that have been tampered with than CGC has already discovered, because they're just looking at one person who has run this scam. And if one person has done it, I wouldn't be surprised if another person has done it. Even though that might be true, I think overall it's going to be a small number of books that are affected by this scam because it's only worth doing on high value books. Obviously, most of our books that are graded are worth like $100 or $200 or something like that. And it's not worth working a scam on those books. The scam that people are running is turning a $1,000 book into a $15,000 book. And most of us don't have those types of books lying around. And so really, we probably aren't going to be affected too much by that scandal. But I do think because of this lack of trust in CGC that we are going to react strongly as a collecting market to it. And it's going to lead to lower price values, especially on books that could have a tendency to be used in this scam. One that I'm really sad about because I own a couple of copies is Incredible Hulk 181. because this is probably the easiest book to run the scam on. Because if you know anything about that book, the first appearance arguably of Wolverine is that it has a Marvel value stamp on the inside, but the value of the book tanks. It's not worth nothing, but it goes way down if that stamp has been cut out. And what's already been shown to have happened at least once is that someone has taken out a book from a slab that has the Marvel value stamp and then put one without the value stamp in it and then sold it at the stamped price, and then certainly then resubmitted the actual stamped book to maybe run the scheme all over again, or at least to then sell them both at that higher value price. And so now everybody's going to be like, hey, any Hulk 181 is under suspicion now. And I would say that was probably a book to be concerned about. And if you're looking to buy one, and again, I have 2 copies, one of which I'm hoping to sell soon. And so I'm a little bummed that this probably is going to hit the value of it. Again, it's not like it's going to drop to zero, but the value is going to take a hit, I think, in the short term. And secondly, I think people are going to overreact by sending in fewer submissions because they're like, well, can I trust CGC? But most of the books that we're sending in, once again, are going to be lower value books, not Hulk 181s all the time. And so it's very unlikely that those types of books are ever going to be tampered with in the way that we've seen this scam run. But those fewer submissions that I see coming leads me to prediction number 4, which is that we are going to see an increase in signature series events where CGC will bring in an artist or a writer and host a signing. And these are hugely popular events right now. People love to get their books signed. And since I think CGC is going to lose some of the money they've been making from submissions, they're a business, so they've got to figure out, well, how in the heck can we make this money up elsewhere? And in fact, I think that's already why we're seeing an increase in the signature series events, because fewer people have already been submitting fewer books because of the, again, bear market that we're currently experiencing. But I think CGC is going to ramp up these events even more because, again, they've got to find a way to still make money. And so if you love to get your book signed, I think that's good news for you. And my 5th prediction is that other grading companies, particular CBCS, are going to start eating some of the market share that CGC currently has. Now, I still think CGC will come out of this as the big dog, but I think CBCS has a real moment to strike at CGC and really try to get some of this market share. And I'm sure the big wigs at CBCS are trying to think of all kinds of ways that they can capitalize on this. And already, they recently unveiled a new label, which a lot of people really love. And so they're already making changes to try to eat some of the market share. But now, in my opinion, it's the time for them to strike while the iron is hot. Now, the good news for us that are collectors is that CGC, of course, also knows this and realizes that grading companies like CBCS are going to try to eat their market share. And so they are going to work hard to keep their consumers. And again, that will lead to better cases, but maybe other better promotions that they do to generate business. And this is exciting for us as collectors. This will lead to more competition between the grading companies. And whenever there's competition, the consumer wins, either with higher quality products or lower cost, or in fantastic cases, both of those. And so even though this is really kind of a scary time for us as collectors who are concerned about having slab books, in the long run, I think all of this is going to be good news for us. And certainly, that's predicated on the fact that CGC really gets their act together. But I think they will. They're a business, they're smart, they know how to make money, and so they're really going to work hard to earn our trust back. But I'm curious for you, how has this affected your thoughts about sending books into CGC or other grading companies? Are you excited? Are you bummed? Do you care and you only like raw books? Tell me in the comments below what your response to this whole scandal is. Now, of course, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I'd appreciate it if you consider doing so now. Again, tell me what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and as always, I look forward to the next one.